What is going on, everybody?
What's happening?
The Sam?
Pastor Sammy's in here.
Of course, I
Please
can't
leave
miss
your
it.
message for 5043.
What's up,
Oh,
Sammy?
I
What
don't
is
know who
going
that is.
on? How are you guys doing?
And Sammy's hitting the phones.
I'm gonna have to soon,
Let's go. Let's
soon
go.
enough.
What's new with the kids in Mexico?
We just took in 7 kids in the last month, so we have been onboarding all these kids, and right now they are enjoying. We bought new beds, new closets for them. We actually just moved all the boys to one of the houses that we built because they have been some of them have been sleeping on my studio. We just had too many, so we finally got more space. We're getting the girls a new space too, and then expanding. Probably in the next month or so, we're gonna do a big construction project and try to go from the 30 plus that we have in the church to about 100 in this spot.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna
Busy.
be amazing. Yeah, I think you muted yourself, Jonah. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but
Nope.
it's been busy, man. It's been busy. We're
Busy.
also enjoying the World Cup. So bro, one of the coolest things we're gonna do this summer is apparently somebody one of our business guy follows Eddie, and it's apparently tied to the taco place that we go to. So remember the taco place we go to? So he
Of
hit me up
course.
on social media, and he's like, "Hey Sam, what would you think about us, the taco place, like bringing the tacos to the kids at the church while one of the Mexico games is going on?" And I said, "Bro, that would be awesome." So he reserved that LED, like big massive screen. We're gonna have screens all over the place. He's bringing the tacos like to the church. We're gonna fill it up with tacos, and then we're gonna be watching the Mexico versus South Korea game tomorrow at the church with 100 plus orphans there that we're gonna get all together, and it's gonna be wild, bro. It's gonna be amazing.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I'll send you guys some
Guys,
videos
guys,
tomorrow.
drop an emoji in the chat if you want to get Pastor Sammy on the team call at some point. Pastor Sammy was the top door-to-door guy at his last sales company.
Oh man,
Get them
I love
on.
sales. Love sales.
Sammy, talk to him. You were in the Tampa office here. Give some words of wisdom
Yeah,
to
I
sales
think so.
mastery.
So the first thing that I see on the Tampa office, bro, you guys have an opportunity that I wish I would have known of when I was selling. Being able to make the commissions that you guys make, to have the leads that you guys have, to have the systems that you and Claudia have put together, the office, the unbelievable office that you guys have in there. There is no reason why not to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in that office. But what I did see is that there is not something that I think lacks in a salesman. It's grit. Like just going in there, and I understand you have systems. I understand you have set appointments. But bro, when I was in a sales floor, like I would be dialing the phone nonstop. Like every single minute that you're in there, you're there to make sales. And I think a lot of people miss that in one dial you could change your life. Like one dial changes your life. So I would say, like, I see a lot of people, hey, how you doing? Just hanging out, saying hi, vibing. But bro, you gotta hit the phones. Dial for dollars, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Eddie in yet? Or wait on Eddie, guys.
He is. I saw him.
Oh, perfect. Claudia, could you pin him?
Yeah.
Real quick, before we introduce Eddie, guys, shout out to everybody at the lock-ins. We had absolutely record-breaking week. Shout out to Jordan Lowry. He had a record week at 40K. The rest of the guys that I'm missing, we did a Tampa office lock-in. We did Scottsdale, Sioux Falls. So we put up a bunch of premium last week. So shout out to you guys. But without further ado, Eddie Wilson,
What's up,
welcome.
guys? Thank you. Appreciate it.
I just want to get right to it. I want to be efficient with our time and make the most out of this hour we have with you. So, Eddie, everybody knows who you are. So, you're the king of exits as your nickname. You've built and sold 95 companies. You've exited for a collective of 1.4 billion, correct?
Mhm.
And then now you own the Aspire Tour. So, my first question to you is this is one of my favorite questions to ask. What separates a winner from a loser?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that it's something that we all have to explore. And it's something that you explore not one time, you explore it daily. It all comes down to mindset, and mindset is everything. One of my favorite books that I've ever read was Winning by Tim Grover. That's Michael Jordan's coach, Kobe Bryant's coach, Dwayne Wade's coach. right? And the one thing that he said he refused to coach people unless he said, what's the most important thing to you? If they didn't answer winning, he said, move on. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, as you go about this process, you guys are all in insurance and insurance sales, and you have to determine long before you get on the phone that you're a winner. And the thing is when I'm hiring people, a couple of the questions I ask, and it seems rudimentary, excuse me, it seems rudimentary, but it's so vitally important, is that I'll say, tell me one thing that you've won in your life. I don't care if it's a Little League baseball championship. I don't care if it's high school. Tell me about something you won. I don't care if it's a spelling bee. Tell me something, because when you win, you can anchor back into that in everything you do. Most people hope for the best. Then there's another group of people that know the best is coming because they're a winner. And the fact of the matter is when you go about your day already knowing that you win, it really doesn't matter what happens in that day, right? Like, because if I'm a winner, but yes, I didn't win that game, I'm still a winner. So that's just a blip in the radar, right? Like, I get asked all the time, podcasts and stuff like that. People will say, tell me about your losses. Tell me about the failures. And it's like, I can't remember most of them because I moved on as fast as I possibly could, because I'm not somebody who loses. I win, right? And so, but that doesn't mean that I've won more than I've lost. I've probably lost more than I've won. The fact of the matter is it's all mindset, right? I go about my day knowing that everything is going to lead towards a win, believing that the win is going to happen, believe that I've already created the success that it takes. And so, Jonah, it's mindset. And when you go about the day and you think, man, I hope I get a sale, it's wrong mindset. The mindset is I'm going to be whatever your goal is. I'm going to be the millionaire. I'm going to be the one that's successful. I'm going to be the top salesperson. I'm going to succeed this week. You go about your day that way, and then it doesn't really matter what happens throughout the day. Then you don't get down when you get rejected. You don't get down when things don't go your way. I've had one of the most difficult financial years I've ever had this year. And in the end, if you ask me, I'm always going to show you that I'm topside, because that's where my mindset is. Because, as you go about your life in the mindset of winning, it really doesn't matter what happens today. It's like, I always say this, it's like you can have bad minutes, you can have bad hours, you can have bad days. I refuse to have a bad week. I refuse to have a bad month, and I refuse to have a bad year, right? Like, because the fact of the matter is like, I can put all that stuff behind me, and it's a new week, it's a new month, it's a new year. I'm going to win. That's the mindset I'm going about. There's no doubt inside of me that I'm going to win. And you've got to go about it with that tenacity when you're building your own business. And that is what separates winning and losing. That's what separates that, that concept you're asking about. It's 100% mindset.
That's good. One thing that you said when you were in Mexico, which you've said publicly before, is that you don't bet on the horse, you bet on the jockey. So let's say you meet somebody new, and within 5 minutes, what are the characteristics you see in somebody that tells you, all right, this guy's an A player, this guy's going to go out there and build something massive, or this guy, I don't think so.
It comes down to self-belief, man. I mean, it's like when somebody doesn't believe in themselves, how do I get behind it? Like, I always say this, that like, there are things that in my life that I like doing, things in my life I hate doing. One of the things that I love doing is winning. One of the things I hate doing is motivating people to win. If you hire people that already come with that mindset of winning, I don't have to do the motivation. I want people that come self-motivated. When they come self-motivated, all I have to do is inspire. Inspiring is fun. Motivating sucks. It's like, if I got to kick somebody in the tail to get them moving, right? Like, I don't want that. And if I even get a sense of that in the first 5 minutes, I'm out. Like, not just in hiring, but in partnerships, in relationships, right? Like, there's just not a lot of space for that, because what happens is all of a sudden, if I have to do the motivating, but I'm not doing what I'm good at, which is production, winning.
Let me ask you this, Eddie. If you hire somebody, what percentage of how you base that person, if you're going to keep them, fire them, promote them, whatever, how you judge that person, what percentage is predicated upon their attitude, effort, and activity, and what percentage is predicated towards their results?
Yeah. So I would say a large majority is their activity and it's their mindset, not their results. The fact of the matter is most people that enter my world, I have a very different take on how to hire people, how to pull people in. I don't typically go hire the rock star. What I do is I hire the motivated. I hire the person with the right mindset, and I'll get them to success, right? Like in the end, I find that going out and hiring the rock star, I got to pay a couple $100,000 a year to hire them, and all I do is I hire all their baggage, all their problems, all their false belief systems. I'd much rather hire somebody hungry, humble, smart, right? Like that's what Patrick Lencioni talks about. Hungry, that's the motivation side. Humble, I still can learn. Show me how to do this better. Smart enough to actually take action when knowledge is presented. That is to me the three like killer combinations is hungry, humble, smart.
I want to spend a good majority of this call talking about, because they call you the king of exits, a lot of the people on this call. Luckily, we're blessed to be a part of a company in an industry where we have ownership of our book, and we do have the ability to sell it down the road if we so choose to, and build it to a certain point where it is a sellable asset. So let me ask you, Eddie, what based on what, because people are at different walks in their journey in insurance and within their business, but what are some tangible characteristics everybody needs to be applying to their business to actually create a sellable asset that private equity wants to purchase?
Yeah. I'll say I want to go back and anchor into what I started with, which is that winning mindset. When you watch me buy a company, I buy it for one of two reasons. One, it's distressed and the person is losing, they're failing, they're not making it, right? That's a large part of it. When I invest in somebody, it's very different. I invest in somebody who's winning, who's positive, who's got production, right? Like that's two different things. And so what I see is that most people exiting their business today to get top dollar, no matter what industry you're in, they have to believe, and they just think differently, right? Like it goes back to that mindset I was talking about. And so, when people go through, and I always, a lot of times your mindset you inherit because most people don't think deeply enough about creating it. And so they just inherit it, right? It comes from how their parents view life. It comes from what their teachers taught them in school. It comes from past failures. It comes from the trauma that comes into our life, the things that happen to us that are outside of our control. It comes from culture, who I was around when I was developing thought. It comes from media, right? Like we almost inherit that. Smart people create it, right? Like they say, I'm going to live outside of my parents' school, past failures, trauma, culture, media, right? Like all the list I gave you. Like we live outside of it, right? Like I'm not going to allow that to influence the way I think, the way I act. But when you're building a business, like and stepping into what you're talking about, like the best part about what everybody is creating here is it's really yours. Like it's like building your own business. It's like me. I get, like your book of business, the book of business that you own, you are building enterprise value. Like you are building massive value for you. Like that's the greatest part. Like when you go back to the insurance company I built, a lot of my building was through acquisition. So I would go buy agents and their book of business, right? And there's two areas. I'm either investing because I believe in somebody, so I'm giving them money to go help them succeed, or I'm buying it and taking it over because I don't believe in what they're doing and they have created failure, right? Most of what I was buying was almost like insurance agents that didn't quite make it and wanted to salvage the value of their books. They're willing to sell it to me. So I was buying it at a discount, right? That's not what you want to do. You want to create enterprise value. Enterprise value in a book of business is a growing book of business. Like one thing that we would constantly look at, whether it was property and casualty, life, whatever insurance, agency we were buying, we were typically looking at we're trailing 12 worth of production, trailing month worth of production, right? Then we were looking at attrition. We were also then seeing how many people did you maximize out of that one person. So what we did was we had a scoring mechanism that we would look at, and we would say, did you not only land that client, but did you land their brother, their sister, their mother, their father, their child? Like, we would connect it and we would give it a score based on your ability to maximize your opportunity. Now, if you maximize the opportunity, we would actually score it higher. If you didn't maximize the opportunity, we would score it lower, but we also knew exactly where we were going to follow up and crush it in that book of business. I knew that essentially, if you are a satisfied customer who we've served well, you are worth 3 more customers, right? Like, and that's the way we looked at it. And that was our model. That was our modeling. And so I would value the business off of that. Now, the first mindset that I would gauge these businesses off of, these agencies, is I would gauge it off of their belief about how they're winning. Were they growing? Was it something that was, having additional value month over month, right? Like, did they have a growing book of business, or was it declining, right? What happens is your plane is either in ascent or descent at all times. When you're in insurance, it's either in ascent or descent. You're either climbing, you're stacking all of the opportunities, you're growing, you're closing, or you're in descent. You've already hit a peak. I would determine that within minutes of talking to the person. Are they in ascent or descent? If they're in descent, I'm going to devalue that business. If they're in ascent, I'm going to add value. I'm going to ascribe higher value to that. And the second mindset that we would look for was an ownership mindset. Some people in the insurance space believe they're just a salesperson. If you believe you're just a salesperson, I'm going to devalue your book of business almost immediately. Because what you're not doing is just cultivating, right? Like, you're not building, you're not growing, there's not enterprise value. And that mindset is almost immediate, right? Like, I know, like, if I talk to you for 30 seconds, I would quickly dissect down, do you see your role as an owner, or do you see it as just a producer salesperson, right? That's 2 big differences, because if you treat your world, well, I get balloons if I put up 2, I guess. If you treat your world like an owner, that's a much different experience for me, somebody who's buying the book of business, right? And so when I look at that, I value somebody who has an ownership mindset. And the ownership mindset is everything, because when you're an owner, you take massive responsibility, you care about the production, you care about the clientele, you care about whether you're growing or you're declining. A salesperson is about maximizing their income. They don't necessarily care about the ecosystem they're building, right? Like, that's a salesperson. And salespeople are a dime a dozen. Owners are much harder to find. I don't know if that answered your question.
That was great. How do you develop that ownership mentality and mindset?
Yeah, for sure. So here's the thing. Here's the question I would ask you immediately is, I would say, how's your week going? Okay, my week's going good or bad, right? And then I would say, why is your week going poorly? Like, let's just say you're having a bad week. Okay, well, why is your week going bad? An owner takes all responsibility, right? Like, it's on me. I fix it. If it's a salesperson, they blame everybody else. It's the leads, it's the lead quality, it's the frequency of leads, it's all the circumstances that happened while they were trying to close a deal, right? Like, that is an employee mindset. That's a salesperson mindset. And so we've got to cultivate responsibility first of all, right? Like, whose fault is this? It's always mine. Owners fight for blame. If I have a bunch of different businesses, and one of my businesses that I love is a coffee company. I got a bunch of coffee shops, and I was talking to the group the other day, and I'm an owner. I'm passive in that deal. And I get on once a week or once every other week, and we talk, and I give them some inspiration, give them some, thoughts as to how they can grow. And then I'm the face, right? Like, so I'm always pushing, right? Like, I'm always pushing. And, it was interesting. There was a couple things that were going wrong in the business. And an owner says, what happened was there's 2 employees on the call, and all they did was point. Oh, the reason that happened was that happened, or that person. And I go, hey guys, here's the deal. It's my fault. It's my fault because I haven't set the right principle. I said, I haven't taught you what I expect here. And let's spend the next 5 minutes of me teaching exactly what I expect in you. What did I do? I just showed you that I'm an owner, right? Like immediately there was no question on that call of who's the owner of this company. I fought for blame. I started solving the problem. That's what an owner does. An owner fights for blame because what you realize as an owner is it doesn't matter who's to blame. We need to fix it, right? Because this jeopardizes my value, the enterprise value of my company, my book of business. And so you've got to take responsibility. Another big thing is that owners always initiate change. Owners are constantly looking for the opportunity to grow, to change, to modify, to produce more. Salespeople, employees, they wait to be told. They wait to see somebody else figuring it out. They wait to see, well, did that work for somebody else? No, like initiate. An owner is trying to wring the most out of their opportunity as possible. And then owners create those outcomes, right? Employees and salespeople, they watch the clock and they count their numbers, right? Like they're like, okay, have I been here long enough? Did I make enough calls, right? Ownership mentality is who cares what the hours are? What is necessary for success? You put off all of those things that most people like. I get it when you get into this business, especially sales and insurance. And it is a numbers game. And that's just the fact of the matter, right? Like you got to make so many dials to get so many deals to get so many dollars. Like that's just how it is. However, you got to get yourself out of that mindset. You got to set that is the very baseline that you're doing, right? An owner is how much more can I create? How many, if the average close rate is 5% or 10%, how do I get to 12? How do I get to 14? And you're constantly watching that and tweaking it to get the most out of what you're doing, right? And then let me ask you this. This is something that I say to my employees all the time because I'm always trying to give my employee, even in situations not like insurance, but like a true employee, whether they're a graphic designer for me or whether they're a salesperson or barista or whatever company I have, I ask them these questions. And this should stoke some thought. I always say, hey, imagine my last name's not on this building and it's yours, right? Like your last name, put your last name on that building. And let me ask you this. If your last name was on the building, would you answer your emails differently? Would you serve our customers differently? Would you show up differently? Would you show up earlier? Would you show up with more intensity? If your last name was on this building, would you show up looking the way you look, right? Ownership creates stewardship. Stewardship creates excellence, and that goes far beyond business. And I can tell you that the people that maintain that mindset where they're like, if my name was on this building, this is how I'd write the email. My name was on this building, this is how I'd show up to work. If my name was on this building, this is how I would dress. If my name was on that building, this is how I would speak, talk to my customers, talk to my coworkers. It changes everything. And we've got to get into that mindset. Now, the benefit for you guys is that you get the benefit of it. My employees just make a better culture for me, right? Like, and they rise to being an A player, which I'm always going to incentivize and pay better and stuff like that. But they don't ever get to put their name on the building. They're not an owner. The great part about this is for you guys, you are like, you act that way. You're the benefactor, right? Like you get to build your enterprise value. You get the beneficial, process of being an owner.
That's great. That's great. I'm taking great notes on this. I'm going to go back and watch this call. I want to transition to leadership because I was just in a one-on-one with an agent earlier today. And the one thing I always say is you're never going to grow a big business being a one-man show. So every single one of you on this call, you're a leader. And what is leadership? John Maxwell talks about leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So if you're a parent, you're a leader. If you're on this call, you're a leader because you have influence. If you're producing, you're a leader. If you're new, maybe not. But other than that, you're in a leadership position. John Maxwell, he talks about the different levels of leaders where back in the 1940s, 1950s, there was the military commander, where he basically just expected just unquestionable obedience. And then it's the chief executive officer. It's top-down leadership. And then it's the coach where he sees people as players on the team. And then John Maxwell talks about the highest level of leadership is the poet and the gardener, where he uses encouragement and direction. And he understands the power of words and uses them wisely. The Bible talks about words are words are sharper than a double-edged sword. So my question to you, Eddie, is how do you maintain a high standard with the people within your businesses without being a dictator?
Really good. I love the John Maxwell stuff. I'm also a huge fan of John Gordon. If you guys want to read stuff on leadership, the power of positive leadership, stuff like that. John's a good friend, and John and John Maxwell, John Gordon, John Maxwell are actually doing a bunch of collaborations together. And John Gordon literally lives right up the street from us, and I've learned so much from him. But one of the things that, I have built my career on is I always say there's 3 levels of leadership. I always say, number one, there's people who can lead themselves. And until you lead yourself, you really don't have the right to lead others, right? Like until you lead yourself, I always say it this way, until you can lead yourself, you really shouldn't even have children, right? Like, because it's like, you've got to be able to lead yourself before somebody else can follow, right? And, you have leaders of self, then you have leaders of followers. The majority of the world today want to be told what to do. They want to see the path. Very few people look at Mount Everest and go, man, how do I get up here? There's no tracks on the hill. What they do is they wait for somebody else to go up and go, okay, I'll go that way, right? Like that's 90% of the people you come in contact with. People want to be told what to do. If you go into my office right now, in my office building, like you're going to find a bunch of people that are okay with following. Like they don't want the pressures of leadership. And so you have leaders of self, leaders of followers, and then you have leaders of leaders. That's the one that transcends. That's the one where somebody who already possesses all leadership skills say, oh, I can anchor into that guy or that girl, and I can follow that. There's three levels there. But I'll tell you that I want to start with the first one there for a second. And that is, it's in order to truly lead yourself, you must lead your time. All of us, if I said, what's your most valuable asset? You'd say, my time's my most valuable asset. And I would say, well, then, do you manage your calendar more frequently than you manage your bank account? Like, is it really true? Do you really believe it? Right? Like, or do you actually, anchor into like, my money is my most valuable. I'm telling you right now, if you get control of your time, money and everything else comes. I wrote a book years ago called Time, Wealth, and Purpose. Time, the proper use of time, always the byproduct of that creates wealth. Wealth isn't just an overabundance of money. Wealth is having enough to care for my needs today while not diminishing for what my tomorrow needs. That's wealth, right? Like we see wealth in a very, very different way. But if you travel with me to all the different parts of the world, you go to Guadalajara down with Sam, you'll realize that wealth is having enough for today without diminishing my needs for tomorrow. That's the world's definition of wealth. And then purpose, right? That last piece, purpose, time, wealth, purpose. But the thing is most people are trying to find fulfillment and purpose and trying to find wealth without ever managing their time. Your step one in leadership is time management. If you can't manage your time, you will never truly be able to master leading yourself, right? Now, I've got a lot of, ways that I believe you should be managing your time. But I'll tell you that it comes, first of all, with an emphasis on it. It comes with a belief that it is your most valuable asset, and everything actually anchors into that. One thing that my dad did for me when I was a kid that I'll be forever grateful is he wouldn't allow me to speak in terms of money. I had to speak in terms of time. And I'll give you an example. The very first car I ever bought was $1,800, right? So I went to my dad. I said, hey, Dad, it was a 1987 Pontiac Grand Prix. It was a boat. It was ugly. It was nasty. I didn't care. It was wheels. I wanted to be on my own. I wanted wheels. And, I went to my dad and I said, hey, I want to buy this car. And he said, okay, well, how much is it? I said, $1,800. He said, no, how much is it? Because I knew at that moment what he was saying, because he'd said it to me 500, 1,000 times in my lifetime. What he was saying is how much time does this car cost you? He said, remember, your time is how much money do you make an hour? He said, how many hours do you actually work a week? And then let's divide that $1,800 into how many weeks or years of your life does this car cost, right? And so what he was saying is this car, this $1,800 at your current rate of speed is going to cost you 10 months of your life. Are you willing to trade 10 months of your life for this car, right? And I was like, yeah, of course I am. I was 16. I didn't care, right? Like I would have given 10 years of my life for that car. I just wanted wheels. But the fact of the matter is I, my poor kids, I've done that to them a lot too. But it's like, you can go overboard with it. It's like this pack of gum costs you, 3 seconds of your life. But it's like, I'm not saying go to that degree, but it's like, but that's the point is like your life is what you're spending to get the things you want, right? So you want a McLaren like Jonah? Okay, then how much time do you have to exchange for it? Now maximize your time so you don't have to spend the amount of like, again, it's like, I look at, it's weird. I have this weird issue with this, but it helps me so much. Like I look at the cars in the garage, look at the motorcycles and all that type of stuff. And all I think about is like, up until last year, I used to give every hour. So I was a little bit crazy with this. I've backed off a little bit just because it can get obsessive, which is my personality a little bit. But it's like I would toggle everything I did. Toggle's an app on my phone. I literally, if I was on a podcast, I would toggle it. If I was, working, if I was doing sales calls, if I was managing, and I'll toggle my time. And I'll give my time at the end of the year to my CFO. And I would literally, and it's Toggle, TOGGL, no E is the actual app. And I literally give that to my CFO at the end of the year, Dave. And I would say, hey, Dave, this is how many hours I worked. And I could literally tell you how many hours, or I would tell you what dollar per hour did I produce that year, right? So I had it down. I knew that a McLaren was going to cost me X amount of time that year. Was I willing to give that time up, right? And I had that down to a science, because when you literally get to a place where you control your time, everything else falls in place. I always say that there's kind of this like rule of first, there's a lot of thought on this, and I've heard all the different writers talk about it, but it's kind of like rule of first principles to me. And that is, if you get certain foundational things right, everything else falls in place. I don't have to master sales, but if I master time, sales works for me. I'm not a good salesperson, but I can master time. So therefore, when I master time, sales works, right? I'm not good at creativity, but I master my time with regard to creativity, and all of a sudden I can be creative. It's like everything else falls in place. I call it the red thread, right? It's like you pull that one thing and all of a sudden everything else just starts, it's attached to it, and everything else becomes successful. And I'll tell you that if you master your time, if you don't waste your time, if you lead yourself with that area of time, 90% of the rest of the issues that are tied to everything that you face, they fall into place. They solve themselves. And so, a couple quick themes, just real quick. And, just if you want to take some notes, this is kind of if I'm going to go a little bit deeper into time, let me just give you 4 things. You're going to write something down. Number 1, I always say schedule priorities first. Make sure you get the important things in. Most people allow time wasters, time suckers to literally dictate their day, right? Like your problems dictate your day. And a majority of the world, that's what happens, is the problems in your life dictate your day. It's the problems of, hey, you got a minute, I need this issue fixed, right? Schedule priorities and fit the problems in around your priorities. If you don't schedule your priorities, problems fill your day. When problems fill your day, you're not productive, right? So what's your priority? If it's number of calls, if it's whatever it is, like whatever your priorities are, get that on the schedule first. If it's getting to the gym, if it's whatever it is that's going to make you successful, schedule your priorities first, right? I would say, a couple of things to think about. Faith, right? Faith is a huge component. I know that that's not absent in this world. You should schedule your faith, right? Like, do you spend time in the morning with God? Do you spend time going to church? Like, if faith is important to you, schedule it, right? Like, make sure it's there and don't let something violate it. Number 2, family, right? Like, one mistake I've made in life is not scheduling my family and making priority. And you get, I'm 46 years old. You get to the place in life where I am, and you realize what a mistake that is, right? Like how, every moment with your family is a moment that you cherish. It's not something you have to do. It's something you get to do. Fitness. I went through a lot of health issues this past year. And it was weird. I was told I need to stop doing certain things. And, it's like, but being in shape, getting fit, you don't have to try to look like Jonah and try to be jacked, it's like, but at least be in control of your body, right? Like, at least, don't let your fitness prevent you from success. I don't think everybody's got to look like a gym rat, but it's like, I'm not saying, Jonah, you look like a gym rat, but you look like you're Mr. Peptide. But I think that it's like for you here, give yourself enough time to get maximum productivity out of this body that you've been given, this vessel you've been given. Fitness should not be a preventative for you having the right energy, the right stamina, the right ability, right? Like that's where I've never really maximized body. Like to me, the physical look of my body doesn't matter as much as the physical output of my body, right? Like I know right now, if I can lean down about 5 pounds, I have so much more energy. I can go to 6, 7 o'clock at night without brain fog, without like know your body. And you have to know your body through fitness, right? Like understand how to get the most out of yourself. Become a student of that. Why? Because the more you get out of yourself, right? It goes back to time. The more amount of hours in a day that I'm productive, right? Maximizing my time, the more I'm going to get out of my life. Then wealth, purpose follows. Deep work, another big important thing, right? Where you actually set aside time for thinking, for meditating, for planning, right? Like that's deep work. That should be uninterrupted time. There should be time and space that's planned in that you think about the future, right? Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're building. Plan. Learning. Time set aside for learning. Every person on this call is either moving towards something or they're digressing from something. If you're not learning, you're dying, right? Like, and I always say the greatest leaders lead themselves, number one. And number two, all great leaders are always progressing. If you're not progressing, the people around you are not either, right? As the owner of my company, if I'm not progressing, I can't expect everybody else to. And by the way, they won't. And that's just, some of the things that you should be scheduling in your day. So make sure you schedule your priorities. Number two, work in blocks. One thing that the human brain works in that context, right? Like to try to do a million different things at one time, right? Like, I don't care how much you say you're good at it. I'm still going to tell you that over time, and this is me working with thousands of employees, if you give yourself a block of time and give yourself an end result for that block of time, you hit it. It's Parkinson's law. Give yourself enough time to do something, focus on doing it, do it within that block, move on, right? Don't try to intermingle a bunch of different things all together, right? So work in blocks. I think that 90 minutes is about my max on anything. And so for you guys, like tactically speaking, whatever your attention span is, build your blocks around it, right? Like I can't do 2-hour blocks. Most of my meetings with my executives last 15 to 20 minutes because I have a short attention span. So, and whatever time I allocate for something is the time that gets filled for it. That's Parkinson's law. So if I give them an hour-long time period for a meeting, they fill an hour. If I give them 20 minutes, they come in sprinting. This is what my meetings look like, right? Like, hey, I know we don't have a lot of time. This is how they start. They don't sit down and go, how's your day? Saw the Cubs won last night. They come in and they're like, hey, by the way, I know we got only 20 minutes, so I want to go ahead and get to it. And they've got their stuff listed out, right? Like, that's how I want my life to run. So I do 90-minute blocks for most. That's where no phone, no notifications, no email, right? Like true blocks, right? Next, live by the 80-20 rule. This is number 3, live by the 80-20 rule. So my 4 things here: schedule priorities first. Number 2, work in blocks. Number 3, live by the 80-20 rule. 20% of your activities produce 80% of your results. 20% of your activities always produce 80% of your results. That's tried and true. This principle was written in 1897, right? And it has been true since 1897 to today, that 20% of your output produces 80% of the results. So make sure that you are not allowing that 20% that produces all of your product, like all the production comes from, do not let anything touch it. Protect it, guard it, be careful with it, right? And understand that when you live by the 80-20 rule, you realize that very few things move the needle at a big level. So only emphasize those little things, right? Like hiring somebody, recruiting. Every major jump in my life, whether it's sales, whether it's selling a company, whether it's gross, whether it's a massive exit, has always been tied to a new relationship with a person. Every major growth, I can go back and I can show you at 16 who I met at 16 that grew me like that. I got success from 16 to 18. At 19, I met somebody else. All of a sudden, I have massive success until 22. Right at 23, I met somebody else. At 23, I began to learn and understand growing businesses and scaling and exiting businesses. At 27, I saw my first guy that actually exited business. Go back 23, I also met a guy that taught me multifamily real estate. Right, like today, over 4,000 doors. Right, like it's like at 23, I learned it. So I'm telling you that every major jump in your life is somebody new in your life, right? Like it's why I believe in masterminds. It's why I believe in who I allow around me, right? Because every major jump in my life has been tied to a person, right? Now, I've learned great concepts from books, podcasts, all that type of stuff. Yes, it's helped, but I'll tell you, it is you can tie it to a person every single time. But literally, it's one sales call, is what Sam was saying. One call changed everything, right? So protect that 20%, right? Because that 20% produces everything. And then lastly, number 4, stop confusing activity with productivity. And this is where most people screw this up. They think that because they're busy or they're active, that they're productive. No, productive is I exchanged something of mine for something greater. That's productive. I gave my time, I got something greater in return. Maybe it's money, right? Maybe it's service, whatever it is. And it's like, maybe it's purpose. And so for me, it's like I go down to Guadalajara and I spend a couple of days with Sam and Jonah, and we're down there serving and working. That exchange of time, I literally value it based on, I say that's productive because while we were there, we helped start 7 new businesses with kids that had nothing, right? So like I looked at it and I said, that 3 days was worth it because we sewed into these kids and now they're starting businesses. Like that's productive. I exchanged my time to maximize theirs, right? That's productivity. Activity is I'm just flying all over the world. I'm, posting on social media, making it look like I'm busy, making it look like I'm successful. That's activity. Activity should never be exchanged for productivity. And stop elevating your activity. Elevate your productivity. What did it produce? Not how many hours did you work? Where did you go? What did you do? How many, this is where I hear it on, I have an internal sales team and I'll hop on periodically and listen to their sales calls, or I'll listen to the sales management training and calls. And what I hear out of their mouths all the time is how many calls they made, how much, and it's like, I don't care how many calls you made. How much money did you make? How much revenue did you produce? Right? Like, because in the end, that's what matters. That's the scorecard, productivity, not activity. I understand it's the numbers game and you got to do it, but that's a baseline, right? Like, and what really counts is productivity. So if you'll train your mind and train your mouth to speak productivity, all of a sudden your brain begins to architect everything towards productivity. If all you do is if you just speak about activity, your brain, it's like it's architected towards activity and you get nothing out of activity, right? So make sure, and I would highly, highly encourage you this week, post your productivity on social, right? Get accountable with your productivity, not your activity. In your sales meetings, productivity, not activity. In your, with your significant other, your spouse, or if you're dating, right? Like talk to them not about how hard the week was or how many hours you put in or talk to them about productivity. What did you produce out of those hours this week? And I'll tell you that if you get into that mindset, it changes everything, right? Like productivity over activity every single time. That's sorry, I went like super long on that one, Jonah, but that is key to me.
That was perfect. That was the best. I mean, that's the best thing in the call you could have gone over, because I see so many agents where it's easy when you're new because you're like, oh, I just have to dial the phones and make sales. But the bigger their organization grows, the harder it is for them to actually be productive. Because like, I got this agent, and then I got to help this person. They get this phone call and this thing, and before you know it, if you're not intentional with your time, you're like, oh, I just spent my day doing a lot of admin work, which I could have paid somebody 20 hours to do, and I'm actually costing my business money and I'm hurting myself. And
Yes,
so being
so
really
true.
intentional with your time, and man, that's so good. And I see this on every level where even agents, like I'll see agents and they'll be putting in the same activity, whether they're making 100, 300 dials, whatever it is, or getting X amount of presentations. But there's that difference between really being present on the phones or that agent that's just going through the motions, just kind of dialing, kind of talking to clients. But the people that are really intentional with everything that they do, that's where the results come from. And the more I learn and grow and the more successful people I'm surrounded by, the more I see that every successful person I've ever met, they're focused on one thing and they're focused on the scoreboard. What am I actually doing? Nobody that's successful cares about the activity. I'm like, oh, I tried, or I did this, or I did. No, what are my results? And the one thing
here's the wild part about that real quick is I return all of my texts. I return my phone calls. I'm quick on it. I don't make people wait, and I do what I say I'm going to do. I guarantee that I live a much busier schedule than 99% of the world. And what you'll find is that very, very successful people have those traits. They text you back. They communicate with you, right? Like, it's the people that play busy, that pretend they're busy, right? Like, then they build personas and they don't text you back. They don't call you back, right? So it's irony. I just want to jump in there for a second.
Man, that's one thing that you can tell if somebody's successful by how quickly they text you back. And I always make it a point where there's certain days where I'm literally back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
But I never let more than 12 hours go by without responding to somebody's text or returning their phone call. There's been many nights where I've been up till midnight just going through, and I'll have 80, 90, 100 missed texts, but I reply to every single person because I refuse to go to bed without replying to everybody.
Yep. Give yourself space. If you're in a space where you have to communicate with people, give yourself space throughout the day to communicate with people, right? Like, again, block it, right? Like, just make sure it's available. And I agree. Don't let 12, 15 hours go without responding to somebody. If Sam's texting me right now, I'm not going to answer you, Sam.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left of this call. I want to ask you, Eddie, if you're comfortable sharing, what's the most expensive lesson that you've paid for in business, and how did it shape the way that you operate?
Yeah, there's a lot of expensive lessons in business, right? I decided I was going to build an app for our insurance company, spent $3 million. And then before I ever used it, I sold the company, and it was just $3 million. I literally, if big lesson there is, I'm going to invest in technology. You better make sure it's quick, and you better have the right team, right? Like, I've lost a lot of money on building technology. I've made wrong investments. I have, put money into things that I thought for sure were like surefire ways to make money, and they sucked, right? Like, and they bombed, and I've had that happen. I have given people wrong advice and watched them fail or watch them not succeed because of the advice I gave them when I was early on, because I thought I knew everything. And so it was like, this was my experience, I'm gonna tell you. And I'd watch in my 20s, everybody go try to do what I did, and then it didn't work for them, right? So like, that's a failure, right? Like, but I'll tell you the number one failure, that's my social media hook. Is that good for you? Let me tell you my number one failure, right? That's a lesson for you guys as you're learning social media and trying to generate leads. I just led you into that, and then I gave you that massive cliffhanger of here's the one failure you're all sitting there waiting for. And so I'll tell you what it is. It's wrong partnerships. It's putting the wrong people in my life. That's the biggest failure. And I've always paid massive prices. Like, for instance, this year I'm still going through a massive legal battle right now. My legal expenses this year is going to be well north of $1 million. Actually, it's probably already $1 million, and we're barely in June. And that was because I partnered up with somebody who didn't see the world the way I saw it. They weren't honest with their business dealings, and their choices have now affected me, right? I have a business partner dispute right now, and not Andrew Cordell, but another business that I have. And this guy he has a drug problem. He's got issues, and he's taking me to court, and he's smearing me. I mean, like, just everything he can do online, on social, to smear me. It's like, and it's wild, and it's like wild to see. And it was a bad relationship. And I will tell you that life is never done alone. To your point earlier, it's just not, you can't succeed alone. Like, and I think it's the way God created this world, is you can't succeed alone. And you can have some success, but you're never going to have the ultimate success that you want by yourself. You have to be dependent on people. And so whether it's 2 people, 5 people, 1,000 people, that relationship you're building with everybody around you, whether it's a spouse or a significant other or a business relationship, or even the relationship of you and your employees, is the greatest failure and the greatest success I've ever had. And when you do it right, you succeed. When you do it wrong, you suffer. And so most people go flippantly through life and they just allow anybody into their life. They jump into deals with people. They jump into relationships with people. They just hire people because they're a warm body and it sounds like they're going to be good, right? Do not do that, right? Like, the people you put yourself in proximity with will determine your success and the height of your success, or will determine the failure and the suffering of your failure.
What are the characteristics you look for when partnering with somebody, and what are your non-negotiables?
This is new for me. I've been taking advantage of more this past year than ever in my business career, which is wild. I'm 46, had $1 billion worth of exits, and have had a couple of really bad issues this year with that. Number one, honesty. Now, honesty is not, am I telling the truth? Honesty is a love for truth and a desire to have it at all costs. This is big because most people don't want true honesty. Most of you sitting here on the call today, you don't actually have one person in your life that will be brutally honest with you, like really tell you the truth. We don't. ChatGPT won't even tell you the truth, right? Like, ChatGPT gives you a positive, it's just like, it's hard because no one will tell you the truth. What I want and what I love is the truth. I want somebody to tell me, you're going about this the wrong way. We are going to fail or suffer if you do that. This is a bad investment. You should not hire that person. What I want is for someone to be brutally honest with me. Now, it's hard and you got to get permission, right? Like, you can't just go around beating people up with truth and honesty. Like, you got to do it with love. But in the end, I want somebody, if I'm going to go into a deeper relationship with them, to be brutally honest, because there's no true trust or relationship unless there's honesty, right? Number 2, integrity. Are you going to do the right thing when no one's looking? That's big, because I have a lot of people that do the right thing in front of me and in front of my face. And then when they go behind, when they are off by themselves, like, do they act in integrity? Do they actually uphold the values that they say that they have, right? And then last 3, or the third one, honesty, integrity, and then lastly, I just say passion. Passion to me is somebody who doesn't need motivation. I don't want people in my life that need me to motivate them to go to success. I want people that come with the expectation of success. They might need some guidance, they might need some inspiration, but they don't need motivation. I want somebody that's passionate. And I don't care what they're passionate about. I don't care if they're passionate about rocks, coffee, music, sports. I just want some level of passion so we can anchor into that, because I got to know it's there, right? I don't want lethargic, lazy people in my life, because that just drags me down, right? Like, I can't bring everybody with me. I want to pick the people that want to run with me, right? So honesty, integrity, passion.
Yeah, there's certain people that have low energy, I'm getting to the point where I don't even want to be around them, because it just sucks your energy out. And what I've learned is the more energy you have, the more money you're going to make, and the more influence you have, the more successful you're going to be. And so,
for sure,
knowledge is important, but knowledge does not hold a candlestick to obsession. Let me ask you this, Eddie, because a good way to define somebody's character or their mindset in business is, it's not defined when they're doing well. It's defined when they're going through trials and tribulations. And so, I appreciate you being vulnerable and you're sharing about some of the struggles you've had on this call, because we all have struggles. Whether it's a chargeback from a brand new agent, or whether it's a manager getting massive roll-up debt, or this person quitting, or whatever level of adversity you're going through. What is your process for staying level-headed when things don't go your way and not reacting out of frustration?
Yeah. Most people are reactive because they haven't built habitual systems that they just fall into. If you build the right habits, you don't have to think about the failures, right? Because what you know is my habits are going to drive me to success. So it goes back to that winning mindset. Am I going to win? Yes, because I'm a winner, because I built my habits that are going to always allow me to win over time, right? So a couple of habits that I constantly work on is, number 1, protect your mind. Protect what comes in. Bad inputs create bad outputs, right? So what you're talking about, energy. Trash in, trash out. What I allow in to some degree is going to come out somewhere. Protect your mind, right? Like protect your time, protect your mind. Number two, keep promises to yourself. This is important.
Yes.
It's one thing to keep promises to others, but the person we'll lie to all the time is ourself. You say, hey, I'm going to make that one more call. And you're like, I'll get to it tomorrow. You just lied to yourself, right? Like, hey, I'm going to get in the gym 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever it is. And then you wake up, late and decide not to go. You just lied to yourself. Keep promises to yourself. Say them verbally, keep them. If you'll keep we promise ourselves, like, it's funny, in our mind, we make promises to ourselves all the time. And our subconscious is very aware of the fact that we don't keep those promises. And when you make promises to yourself and you violate the promises, right? Oftentimes your body devalues the thing that your conscious brain values the most, because your subconscious brain says, well, it doesn't matter. It hasn't been a priority. Habit 3 that I would say, just, off the top of my head, is make sure that you're optimizing at all times. So conduct what I would just say is like a weekly review. How did I measure up to my expectation? Just a weekly review. It can be 5 minutes where you just consciously say, how did I measure up to what I expected? Did I keep my promises? Did I protect my mind? Right? Did I allow things into my life to influence me that I was interested? And then my last habit is this, and this is so important, Jonah, because if you think in the terms of years and decades versus moments and weeks, most people who struggle think in terms of today, tomorrow, this week. I'm not building something for this week, right? Like, this week is just going to be a blip on the radar when you get to the larger body of work that I'm creating. And if life sucks this week, it doesn't matter, because I'm still going to win over that time period, right? Like, you've got to get yourself into the mindset of winning. And when you think in years and decades, right? Like, what am I building? Is my activity on a daily basis going to contribute to the enterprise value of my book of business over the next 5 years? You got to think that way. You cannot think in the immediate. And so much of our life is tied to the immediate response. We want the dopamine hit. We want instant gratification. And the fact of the matter is your choices today do completely affect what your 5 years from now looks like.
That's good. That's good. Last question for you, Eddie, because you could have stopped a long time ago. And it's easy when, you got a lot of new agents on this call where, if you're new, a lot of people come into sales with their back against the wall, or they're in a tough financial position. But once they start making money, it's the separator from the ones that really want it, and the ones that go to that next level, and the ones that just coast. So what's kept you motivated over the years to keep pushing?
Yeah, a couple of quick things. Number one, momentum is really hard to get back. But if you've ever played sports or you've been in business long enough, what you realize is when you have that moment of momentum, when things are starting to go right, when you're starting to do well in sales, when things are closing, it is so hard to manufacture those moments. And what I'm always afraid of, and I almost intentionally create fear in my life that I don't want to live outside of momentum, right? So when momentum is hitting, I'm always going to put the pedal down. I built the world's largest media platform for real estate investors. I built the world's largest aggregation of private capital in the world, the American Association of Private Lenders. I built the world's largest fitness convention, FitCon, sold it. I built the world's largest business tour, the Aspire Tour, right? The reason I've gotten to that level every single time is when you get momentum, I'm relentless with allowing it to go away, because I don't know when I'm going to get it back. And when people go into coast mode, what happens is they begin to digress. What they do, they lose momentum. I'm a football fan. I went to the Ohio State University. You guys should all become Ohio State fans. But anyways, if you watch, I hated Ohio State in the late 2000s because we had Jim Tressel as a coach, and Jim Tressel was known for getting up on teams early, and then he would play prevent defense. Prevent defense is when you spread the field and you just start, playing to lose. What you're saying is like, I'm not gonna start scoring anymore. What I'm gonna do is just make sure that they don't score more than what I have, right? It's the San Antonio Spurs in the playoffs, right? Like we're up 29 points. And what do? They start slowing down the ball. They start playing zone defense. It's like, what are you doing? When you go into coast mode, you're playing to lose. And the problem is I'm not going to play to lose because I have a winning mindset. Am I going to win? Yes, I'm going to win. How am I going to win? Because I build habitual processes to never take my foot off the gas once I feel momentum, right? Like you've got to get to that mentality. And then past that point, right? So build systems to never let yourself take the foot off the gas. If you're coasting, you're playing to lose. You're playing prevent defense, right? Like you're the San Antonio Spurs, right? And not like when they were winning, like when the Knicks were coming back and crushing them, right? Or you're like Mexico in soccer, that's it for San, right? And so like you play to lose, right? And so in the end, it's like we can't play to lose. And then the last thing is this: you have to have something bigger and greater than what is possible to achieve. You know, when you have $1 billion exit, it's like, okay, well, what's next? A $2 billion exit? No, my purpose is greater than money. My purpose is tied to helping people globally around the world, making impact on, you know, underprivileged children and clean water projects and building businesses, right? My goal is so much bigger than a monetary amount. When you anchor into something greater than just the dollars you want to produce and you get fulfillment out of it, put purpose in your life, and that purpose has to be greater than the dollars you can produce. Let me tell you, you want to get to the quickest way. You guys all know Mindy Tibbs. Mindy Tibbs, 3 years ago, called me. She said, Eddie, she said, I'm not getting to the production I want. I said, okay, cool. She was like, she said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie into purpose. She said, for every sale I make, she said, I'm going to give something to impact others. Do you know every Monday we get a wire from Mindy Tibbs? I've watched Mindy every single week for the last 3 years just go higher and higher and higher, higher, higher. And you know what? She'll text me, hey, what am I giving to this month? What project did I? And she literally, what she thinks is as I produce, as I sell, I'm getting something greater than just the money. Mindy's got a great life. She's a crazy high producer, but she has anchored it into purpose. And so now she just keeps growing and growing and growing. There is no end to what she's producing because she's tied to something greater than money or the monetary.
That's so good. Eddie, do you have time for one more question?
Sure. Yep.
If you could put one sentence on everybody's lock screen on this call, what would it be?
I would put this. I got a buddy who has coined this phrase. And I love it. And his name's Charlie Rocket. Charlie was an overweight, fat kid who ended up with a brain tumor and decided that he wanted to be a Nike-sponsored athlete. And I love Charlie. Charlie's gone through some crazy stuff in his life. But Charlie coined this phrase, I'm on a winning streak. In the end, if you always tie what's happened, and I would put winning streak, I would tattoo it on someplace on your body that you know, like Jonah, first tattoo, winning streak. And it's like, I think that I really feel like if you put yourself into the mindset of I'm on a winning streak, right? Like I'm in the mindset of winning. This isn't just I hit a milestone or I had a great month. It's like, no, I'm on a streak, man. And my life is the streak. It's like, if we get into that mindset, it changes everything. That's the sentence I would use.
Man, this was so good. Guys, drop an emoji in the chat if you took value from this call. Eddie, thank you so much for hopping on. Every time we're together, I always learn a lot. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All righty, everybody. God bless. It's making a massive week.
Let's go.